I have been left on such a big cliffhanger, I don't know what to do with myself. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Debbie and today is Series Sunday, the day that I have set aside to talk about series of books, TV series, movie series, whatever series you have, I'm going to talk about it. So, this is a Jessie Hunt catch-up. Book 27, 28 and 29, which are The Perfect People, The Perfect Witness and The Perfect Appearance. Oh boy. As soon as I finished book 29, I was just like, normally I buy these in threes, but if I need to, I will just get the next one, just so I know what happens. It's not available. It was pre-order. It was just like, no, you put me in such a dark place now. Book 29 is like a serious cliffhanger, where just like people's lives hang in the balance, and it's just like, I'm gonna have to wait until book 30 is released to find out what's going to happen. What is interesting about books 27, 28 and 29 is that we currently have two threats to Jessie's life. We are still dealing with the aftermath of Andrea Robinson, where after Jessie was kidnapped on her wedding day by Andy, we've had a whole Operation Z thing happening, the idea that if Andy dies there is somebody to kind of continue what Andy wanted to do, and Operation Z and Zoe, and yeah, again, I'm not really going into the individual stories because I feel like that is something you can enjoy within the books. My next book is book 30. Because each book catches you up, it can feel very repetitive when you are reading this as a series, but at the same time it does allow for people to drop in for one book and get the full backstory pretty much in just a couple of throwaway comments, but it happens throughout the books now. Basically, as you see from more points of view, you're getting a bit more repetitiveness. It's not like completely like down your throat repeating it, but it's enough to just slightly get on my nerves, because it's just like, I know this, I've read all of it, but I need to remember that not everybody has read all of it, and some people may drop in for one book and then get intrigued and then go back, or they might just read a couple of them and they might not even read them in order. Just like, I'm a person that, like, if I start from number one, I have to go in order. Just like with the Sophia Beaufont, when I realised there's a whole series before it, I finished that and went back to number one, and now I'm going on to Fairy Godmother with series 3. I'm a person that likes my order. Yeah. So as well as dealing with the aftermath of the whole Andrew Robinson situation and that, these past 3 books have also seen the rise up of a guy called Mark, who, how many books ago did we meet Mark? And it was literally a throwaway comment. It was a throwaway moment almost, which has come back to bite Jessie on the ass from when Jessie was teaching, where a student came up to her wanting an autograph on a newspaper, but because she, I think, was she with Valentine? I think she might have been with Kat actually, and her best friend, Kat Gentry, and a student came up to them. Jessie was already on edge because of what she was currently investigating. And this guy goes, oh no, I'm not here to hurt you, because he basically ended up with guns drawn on him and stuff. And he's just like, no, I just want an autograph. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. They kind of just brush him off. I can't remember if they actually give him the autograph or not, but they're just like, sorry, we've got things to do. I'm really sorry, but you know, we do for one and we have to do for everybody. It's just not fair. And basically, Mark has now got a vendetta and has been going back to Jessie's old cases and killing off the final people. Like the idea of like the final girl. So anybody who was not killed by the killer prominent in their storyline, he is going back and killing them the way they should have been killed. So Jessie is, I think after a couple of them they realise it's just like, oh no, this is a pattern now. We have a serial killer and he is now officially the copycat killer. That he's been given a nickname. He is the copycat killer because he is going back to Jessie's old cases, finding the people that survived and killing them the way that they would have been killed by those murderers. I just hit myself in the nose with my finger. Great.
By those murderers.
So you've got that. You also have a woman who is kind of part of Operation Z and the aftermath of that, who targeted Kat and Jessie's sister, who has now got a vendetta because she's like, I cannot believe I was accosted by a teenager. And so now she's hell-bent on getting her revenge. So you've got Mark who's got a vendetta against Jessie because he brushed her off, and before he could get a chance to get into her class, she left to go back to work for the police force, so he's got a huge thing against her, and seeing his point of view throughout the chapters is really disturbing because he's hallucinating, so I'm just there thinking, what's his mental state at the moment? It's weird because it's a book, but at the same time I'm very interested in kind of the intricacies of what is happening psychologically there, because he is hallucinating Jessie, and in those hallucinations Jessie is telling him off and saying, why did you do this? Why didn't you do this? And so it's almost like, you know, like there's those people out there that go, well, God told me to do it. Mark's defence is Jessie told me to do it, even though it's in his head. So, yeah, it seemed like it was a series of events that led to the snapping of something important in his brain. But yeah, I've always found, like, psychology kind of fascinating. The idea that any of us, something could happen and something could just, like, snap, a flip switch or something, and it would just change our mentality completely. It is terrifying. But it's also incredibly interesting and fascinating. Like, the idea of, like, studying psychology is one that's just like, if I could go back in time, I might. To be fair, there's nothing stopping me from doing it in the future. But yeah, the idea of studying psychology at some point and looking at that, yeah. It's terrifying, but it's also completely fascinating. And I think that's probably why I like a good murder mystery, because it's seeing the mentality behind that character. And you see it through all of these books, because you're just like, what is the motive? What does this person have going on in their head that allows them to think that they need to create some kind of revenge or something? I mean, the one in the last book was very interesting. I don't normally talk about, like, the individual cases, but in the last one, there was somebody targeting the therapists. And when you first meet the killer, he is in a session with this therapist who he targets and kills, and he's there going, I want a girlfriend. The last girl I was attracted to, she brushed me off. Like, it starts off quite innocent, and then you find out that actually, no, he's one of those nice guys who thinks that women owe him something. But yeah, so he gets into his head that he deserves a woman. And he's just there going, no, I want to have sex right now. And you're just there going, oh God, is this going to be a crime that's going to end up being, like, sexually based? In that case, it kind of is and it isn't. You'll have to read that last story to understand what I mean by that sexual motivation. It's part sexually motivated, but also not at the same time. That is one where the psychology of it I find really interesting, because you're just like, what led to the moment when he was just like, I'm going to target these therapists? Or what happened make him want to go to therapy, and what is making him snap? I love the fact that now we've established a better relationship between Jessie and Susanna Valentine. When Susanna Valentine first came on the scene in these books, she was painted as a little bit of a baddie. You've got this woman who likes wearing skin-tight clothing, who is working for the police force, she's not afraid of her body, she flirts openly with Ryan Hernandez, Jessie's partner, and now husband, which obviously pisses Jessie off. But now we have established Susanna as a full-on character. We have her backstory. We know why she is the way she is. You kind of support Susanna now. She has her moments where she steps on people's toes, but we understand her better. We know why she is the way she is. She's apologised for flirting with Ryan. Both Jessie and Susanna have created a respect for each other, and I really like seeing that, because at first it did feel a bit like pitting women against each other kind of thing, but what Blake Pierce has done, he's given us that full backstory for Valentine, for Susanna, so that we understand what she's doing, where she's coming from, and how she is now owning her trauma. And I just think Blake Pierce has done such a wonderful job with the involvement of the character of Susanna. And at this point, 29 books later, waiting for the next 3 for me to come out, we have seen Jessie evolve so much. From being in her early 30s and being essentially a student, her owning her own trauma, completely different trauma from what Susanna went through. The fact that Jessie's father was a serial killer, and Jessie grew up with that, knowing that her father killed her mother. And then later finding out about her sister, her half-sister, Hannah, and, you know, getting through all of that, and then seeing her turning into a mother figure for her sister. Because obviously that's a big age difference from being in your early 30s to having a 19-year-old sister. It is a big age difference that could affect anybody, and the fact that Jessie found out about her sister when she was in her 30s as well, you know, it's a lot for one person to take on. And then seeing the involvement of Hannah as well through all these stories, and seeing how she has dealt with her trauma, which is very similar to Jessie's. There was a slight age difference on when they found out about stuff, because Jessie was younger with what happened to her than Hannah was when everything happened to her. And I'm really going into that psychology side of things, and see just, it is incredible to see how the characters have grown. I'm still greatly enjoying this series, but the fact that this last book just ended on such a cliffhanger where people's lives hang in the balance, and I was just like, okay, I normally do this 3x3, but I just want to get the next book. And then I went onto Amazon and it said pre-order, and it was just like, oh, I was gutted that I couldn't just go straight on to the next one. As you can see, I'm still greatly enjoying these stories. Blake Pierce has painted such a wonderful world with the character of Jessie Hunt. He has so many other series as well. I am still aware of like slight editing issues. I'm not sure if it's just for the ebook, because obviously it's different, the ebook, compared to like the printing of stuff, but I would have thought it would be the same thing, especially these days. I don't know if those errors made it into the actual physical books, but reading it on an ebook, I am aware of things where like pronouns have been changed, you know, somebody who's always been referred to as a she is suddenly a he, and it's just like, that's not right. And it's not a case of a trans issue, it's just the fact that in editing they have just knocked a letter off or something. There are a few grammar issues and just slight editing issues in these versions, and I do wonder if it's because of how quickly books have turned out these days. I don't know. I'm not going to hold it against an author when there are people's jobs who it is to check stuff like that. You don't have to be absolutely perfect to write a story, to have the imagination for that. Just like it is not a bad thing for people to collaborate if they've got a story idea but they know somebody else will be able to write it down better than them. This is not a judgment on any of that. It's just the fact that there are people whose jobs it is to check these things, and it is a bit annoying when you are aware of those editing issues. But like I said, that's one for his publisher and editor, and not Blake Pierce himself. Those last 3 books that I have read are The Perfect People, The Perfect Witness, and The Perfect Appearance. I am so looking forward to the next ones. I really am. Book 30 is going to be The Perfect Trap. So yeah, that one's on pre-order at the moment. It says pre-order this item today. But yeah, so that is the latest catch-up on Jessie Hunt. You've got your 2 new villains that are working independently of each other, but they are both targeting Jessie and her family and her friends. Jessie has basically, for the past couple of books, since they've managed to identify Mark, because they're basically hunting him at this point. That's how the last book ends, when they're searching for Mark, because they have officially identified him as the copycat killer, and so they're now hunting him down. But it means, like, for this book, and part of the previous book, Jessie has been protected. She has a bodyguard, and her family are being protected as well. There was a point when I get to the end of the video, it's just like, I have no idea what I've just said. Maybe I should start scripting stuff. I don't care. No, I like having my free to think moments with talking about books, because that is the point of this for me. It means that I can just run my mouth, say what I feel like I need to say, and then when I watch it back and go, that'll make it in, that maybe not, I can sort that out. But yeah, so thank you so much for watching, if you are still watching these videos. If anybody else out there is reading these books, please talk to me. I'd love to hear what other people are thinking of these stories. I still think that this would be just a great television series. Detective comedy, Rosalian Isles, Castle, The Rookie, that kind of style. Because it just reads like that so well. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time with another video. Stay safe, my lovelies. Bye!